In the spring of 2021, Jinkx Monsoon and Nick Sahoyah recorded a Futurama recap podcast. For reasons unknown, it was never released. These are the raw tapes.
I'm 40% podcast. I'm 40% podcast. You know I'm 40% podcast, baby. You know I'm 40% podcast. You know I'm 40% podcast, baby. I'm only 40%. Go. 40% podcast. I'm 40% podcast.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jinkx Monsoon, and
just from the top,
welcome
from
to
the top.
episode 5 of I'm 40% Podcast, the Futurama podcast review, the Futurama review podcast.
So the end wasn't good and the beginning wasn't good, but the middle was awesome. So just get back there and you'll be good.
Well, I mean, we all make mistakes.
I haven't introduced you yet.
Sorry.
Well, you gotta put Bob in an awkward position where she had to
Okay,
acknowledge
well, now
the
you
situation.
just robbed me of the ability to introduce her. Oh my God. Hi, everyone. I'm Jinkx Monsoon, and you're listening to episode 5 of I'm 40% Podcast, the Futurama review podcast, starring myself, my co-host Nick Sahoyah, and today we have our special guest, Bob the drag queen. Hello, Bob.
Can you all insert like applause sounds or something? Is that a thing that you do on this podcast?
No, that would be jumping the shark.
is that too much to ask her?
Sound effects. That's like season 2.
Got it.
We should just steal Race Chaser's exact soundboard.
Oh yeah.
Just the out of pocket.
What do you think I should?
Upsetting.
Do you think I should seduce Big Dipper and get my hands on like the thumb drive that has all...
Jinkx, I think you're a little young for him.
Okay,
is Big Dipper like a big time daddy chaser or something?
He loves those daddies.
Didn't. Well, I for a second I thought that your podcast was called I'm 40.
Mentally
it's called
and
This
spiritually.
Is 40% podcast.
Drinking a 40% podcast. So as you know, Bob, this is a Futurama. Well, do you know? I mean, we haven't released an episode yet, so it's hard to know anything about this podcast yet. But.
I'm assuming that it's a Futurama review based on the fact that I was asked to watch Futurama. By the way, you texted me and you were like, watch episode 5. You didn't say what season. You were just like 5. Just watch 5. I don't even think you said every
season. There's only 10 seasons. That's only 50 minutes. That's only, what is that? 3 hours worth of.
I don't even think that you told me what show it was. You were like, watch this show, episode 5. I went through Hulu watching episode 5 of every show on every season. So I can now talk about basically any show on Hulu.
Oh, well, but just episode 5.
Did you see episode 5 of High Fidelity?
Of course. That was the one I started with, oddly enough.
That's a really good one.
One small divergence. Have you two watched Lovecraft Country?
I did not finish the final 2 episodes.
I
watched
highly
the first
recommend
3
it.
episodes.
It gets better and better with every episode. The first episode, I was like, oh, it's too gory. And while the gore level is high, it's an amazing show. I'm really, really enjoying it. I love spooky horror film shows. And then there's a pleasant little surprise about halfway through the season. Just randomly, Shangela and Monet are in the 1940s.
So,
wait, really?
Yeah.
Or
so
I guess it's the 60s.
Neither Shangela nor Monet told me they were doing it, and then Monet mentioned it like a week before, and I kind of wish she hadn't, because I was watching every week, and then I would have been like, what the fuck is Monet doing? But also, the makeup they're doing does not scan to the time period. I'm like, I don't think that people were like I don't know if they were blocking down brows and like wearing lace fronts. This seems a little...
What I'll say is I had this moment watching it where I'm looking at the screen and I'm like, wow, they got a queen who looks just like Monet. And it took me a while to finally just realize it was Monet, because I think of like drag queens from Drag Race and gory horror stuff as so opposite that it took my brain a while to accept that it was Shangela and Monet in a horror series, you know. But I guess
that was me the entire first season of We're Here. I was like, wow, this queen looks like Shangela. And then finally, after filming the final episode, I said, oh my God, was that Shangela the whole time?
And I guess if Alaska can star in Sharknado 5, Monet and Shangela have free reign to pop up whenever they want to in Lovecraft
That's
Country.
also an impossible film to find. Finding Sharknado 5 is impossible. And I want to support the dolls.
They scrubbed it. They scrubbed it from the record books.
I think so.
Oh my goodness. So, Bob the Drag Queen, you are known for being a Bob. You are known for being a drag queen.
I'm so sorry, Bob. I'm so sorry. She's normally so
God.
professional.
That was
What's
so
going
You're
on
known for
with her.
being a Bob. You're known for being a drag queen. You're known for your comedy skills. As you mentioned, you have a new show, a reality self-improvement show, We're Here. You have lots of music. You were in the Netflix series Tales of the City. What is your experience with Futurama?
Well, I remember being young and seeing Futurama and being like, oh, it's that show by the Simpsons guy. Matt, what's his name? Matt Groening?
Graining.
Graining.
It's like John Boehner. It's spelled like boner, but you pronounce it graining.
Matt Groening. I remember thinking to myself, I remember seeing it and thinking to myself, wow, this looks like The Simpsons. And then basically it was the Family Guy, the American Dad of its time. You know, there's this incredibly popular family
American Dad gets
sitcom
mentioned every episode, and I'm mad about it.
Well, because it is a second creation of a very popular family-based sitcom person, and so that's kind of it has the iteration anyway. So I remember watching a few episodes when I was younger, but never getting into it like I was into The Simpsons.
I find, I was really into The Simpsons when I've recently, because of quarantine and, et al., I rewatched every episode of The Simpsons straight up to the current episodes, which are just getting worse and worse. But
yeah,
Mom, why would you do that? Why would you go through those later ones?
Felt like it.
I mean, The Simpsons is legendarily one of these shows that has just not gotten great over the years. But they just won't take it off the air. One of my favorite moments from The Simpsons. Are we allowed to talk about The Simpsons? Are we allowed to discuss Simpsons on this show?
It's all part of it. It's all in the same universe.
Some of my favorite moments from The Simpsons. A couple of years ago, they had a Super Bowl episode where they clearly animated the whole thing too close to the actual episode. So they would take a mug of beer and put it in front of their mouths and say the names of the team. They'd be like, "I'm so glad that the St. Louis Knicks," or I don't even know who plays
Atlanta Falcons.
Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, the Atlanta Falcons made it to the Super Bowl against the Denver Broncos.
Yeah.
I hear
will say-
President Clinton will be there with his wife, Hillary.
I'll say that The Simpsons is one of the most cleverly written shows that were on TV. I mean, we've had more cleverly written shows since then, but it really set a high bar for writing in these adult animated shows, and I think Futurama carries the torch pretty well.
I would say Simpsons set the standard for adult animation.
Yeah, absolutely.
It literally is the standard. I mean, there's some great stuff out there now, like Rick and Morty. It's probably one of the smartest shows on television. It's so brilliant.
Yeah.
And
But it
before
needed the
Simpsons, it was
brickwork.
before Simpsons, it was like Flintstones. That was animation for adults.
I've tried to go
considered,
back
like,
and
the
watch
first one.
those old school anime, like the Flintstones and the Jetsons. It's unwatchable
Doesn't hold up.
as a youth
Even like
today.
old Scooby Doo's, not great.
Yeah,
I love the character.
I've never liked
but...
Scooby-Doo, but so
well, that's so weird,
Futurama.
'cause I just had Scooby-Doo on my podcast. He had nothing but nice things to say about you. he's a really big fan.
Rinks. I think Futurama is very cleverly written. I like that, the animation style is so similar to The Simpsons, but it really has its own voice. It has its own, it has some of some similar gags. But Futurama, in essence, paved the way for Rick and Morty, as a sci-fi parody animation. And have you, so you watched it some as a kid. You've never watched it start to finish as an adult?
No, never, not once.
So what are your first impressions of episode 5, which is called what's it called? Robot
planet.
Fear of a bot planet. Fear of a bot planet.
Well, it has some interesting racial
oh, you picked up on that. I thought it might have been too subtle.
So there is this, at some point Bender is some combination of black and Jewish. He's
you just mean because of the holidays?
well, because and also the words he's saying, the stuff he's saying, it's rhetoric of activists and people being white folks be doing this, and this. Which,
Bob,
to be fair, white folks do be doing this, and this.
Bob, you know what's funny? Bender is canonically Mexican.
Yeah.
Does that mean a Mexican voices Bender, or what does that mean?
No. White guy.
No, he was made in Mexico, so it's an ongoing thing that when he needs to be, he's Mexican.
His full name is Bender Bending Rodriguez.
Work. But yeah, it was this interesting what is it? Robonica?
Robonica, yeah.
He didn't want to deliver the package. I also just realized today for the first time that they're a delivery service. I just thought it was like a science lab, just some science lab.
It's also that.
It kind of is.
The delivery service funds the professor's scientific experiments. It's his at-home business.
It's like his Etsy store or something.
Yeah.
They don't seem to be delivering a lot of things. One package per episode is not. That's not.
We don't know what happens when we're not watching.
Maybe there's more. Maybe the professor has more. Maybe the professor has more employees that we don't see. But yeah.
Well, also sometimes the episode will start and they'll just be finishing a delivery,
Yeah.
So maybe it's like Spider-Man where he's just fighting little guys all the time.
And let's just face
myself. Go ahead.
With adult animation, there's a lot of suspension of disbelief. You've got to just accept that things happen.
Yeah, I'm just accepting that because I was they're sending 3 employees to deliver one package. The overhead of this package. To
Going
be fair,
light speed across space for this one 4x5 box.
It is intergalactic delivery, so it's probably very expensive. Sending a package from here to London is expensive. So I imagine sending a package from wherever they are to the robot planet must be also quite expensive.
Well, also the professor, kind of his claim to fame and why his delivery business has stayed in business for so long is he's willing to risk the lives of his crew without a second thought. They are oftentimes put in very dangerous situations like they are in this episode. But before we get to the package delivery, they spend a lot of time talking about Blernsball in the first third of this
sports.
episode. No,
Yes.
I find it worth talking about because this introduction to Blernsball is one of my favorite moments in Futurama, and it's Fry is trying desperately hard to understand the rules of Blernsball, and just as he feels like he's starting to get it, a ball goes into a hole and triggers Mega Blern or something.
And
multiple ball
a guy in a motorcycle,
and balls are just flying everywhere. People are running around. A guy's crossing the bases on a motorcycle, and then the doors open and a man comes out riding a giant tarantula.
Yeah,
and I just love that. That's what we have to do to sports in the future to keep people invested, because what
Just
I
wait
like
for
about
season
this
100 of Drag Race when they release the giant tarantula.
when one of the contestants is just a bee.
I mean, when you think about the fact that Asia O'Hara did release butterflies on stage, I mean, it basically is.
Does that count as a release? I feel like she more just dropped them.
I think we're also skipping over one of the most clever pieces of writing in the episodes when he goes, that guy was a blurn hitting machine. And then Katie Seagal's character, yes, he was a machine made to hit blurns.
Yes.
I have a question about that line exactly. Is a blurn the ball or is it an action? Is it like a run?
I think it's like Smurfs. Like, I think blurn in Blurn's ball means it. I mean, even though Fry then has that moment where he goes, the blurns are loaded. We're in the 9th blurn. The blurn play is in effect. And then Leela says, except for the word blurn, that was complete gibberish.
Yeah.
But then, like, someone hits their equivalent of a home run and the announcer is just screaming, blurn! What I love about this whole bit is that as a queer person watching an adult animated show in my 30s, I still know nothing about baseball. I don't give a shit about sports. And sometimes I feel really like excluded when one of my favorite TV shows has a whole episode dedicated to sports. And I'm like, I don't know enough about football to get all of the jokes that are happening here. Futurama made a comment on how boring all sports are. By inventing this nonsensical futuristic sport, and then also not worrying about how much the viewers actually know about baseball. And
Well,
he
they're also
goes
probably
as far as
looking
to
into
comment on
they're probably
how-
looking at their fan base and being like, our fan base probably does not know a lot about baseball, so let's lean into
Nerds.
this blurn. Yeah.
Let's face it, Fry. Baseball was incredibly boring. So they finally jazzed it up, eh?
I like some of the stadium jokes because it's at Madison Cube Garden, which is fun. And then there's a part where Zoidberg goes to get like refreshments and he asks for all these gross alien things. And they say, we don't have that. And he says, well, just give me something crawling with parasites. And it cuts to him eating a hot dog.
That was a great
And then
moment.
Fry says, well, at least hot dogs haven't changed.
That was a nice part.
Yeah, it's okay. So with the with Blurn's ball is how we get into the commentary on racial tensions. Now I
There's
feel
robot
like
leagues for Blurn's
yeah, because
ball.
of the robot leagues, and of course everything that Bender is saying applies to the industry of professional sports and how people of color are treated in the industry of professional sports. So it's like it's worthwhile commentary, but it's all about robots because I think they are starting in a place where they presume the future will be post-racial. So they have to make it about robots rather than people of color. Thank you, Bob, for changing the background. And we see this a lot with Bender throughout the series, that Bender, being a robot, they're able to write satire about social issues and put it on the robots so that it's not too seriously commenting on real life issues, but kind of tiptoeing around the issues by making it about robots. We have robosexuals, we have robot human marriage, and in this episode, we have a robot complaining about the inequity that exists in the world for robots.
And it segues nicely because back at Planet Express headquarters, the professor is telling them about their delivery, and it's to a robot separatist planet, which exists out in the depths of space. And it made me, the way Bender talked about the robot separatist planet, it made me want to live on Krakoa with all the other mutants. Bob, do you know about Krakoa?
No, what's Krakoa?
Okay, so in the current X-Men run, they all live like on an island together. Like even the bad mutants, they like all got together and they were like, "Hey, the humans are gonna kill us if we like don't get together." So they like invent all these drugs that can like save humans, and they like basically blackmail all of the humans into recognizing their nation's sovereignty. and they just all live on an island and they take portals there. It's really cool.
And they call it Krakoa?
It's called Krakoa. The island itself is a mutant.
Are they aware that it sounds like Krakoa?
I don't think they considered that when they were naming it.
Because it sounds like crack whore.
It does a little bit. I didn't think of that. But there's also there's a second island that's like friends with the other island. I forget what its name is.
Junkie Hoa.
Junkie Hoa.
I'm also intrigued with the fact that what is Katie Seagal's character's name?
Leela.
Leela. Leela also has a discussion about, passing and what it means to pass. Because she's not a human, but she's like, what about humanoid aliens? And then, I don't want to jump the shark. We can get there toward the end once we get to the trial. But she's like, yeah, I pass as human, but I'm not a human, I swear.
Yeah.
But she does have human privilege.
Yeah.
She does. Well, I guess we could spoil it for Bob. So they think that Leela is an alien at this point in the show, but we find out that she's
kind.
Yeah. We find out later that she's actually a mutant, and there's all these horrifying looking mutants that live in the sewers. But she is specifically the least mutated mutant ever, is what they say. So she gets to go live on the surface.
Which still is about Leela passing as a human. It's really funny because I think in many ways this show is very progressive and very woke, except for the fact that in pretty much every episode or every other episode, there are racially stereotypical characters voiced by white men. It's very similar to The Simpsons in that way, where they take the progressive stance on a lot of issues, and also just kind of don't acknowledge the fact that Billy West is voicing a Chinese man, or John DiMaggio is voicing black men in very stereotypical ways. We don't really understand why when on live action television that wouldn't happen, or at least not so blatantly. I mean, we still see lots of whitewashing in lots of stuff today, but for some reason with the animation, it was just okay for white people to still do what's the voice equivalent of blackface? Black voice.
Black voice. Well, I mean, the thing. Well, I know that the Jamaican guy is voiced by a black guy, but
yes.
I'm not super familiar with the show. But also, I think that we'd be remiss if we insinuated that that is a problem of the past. When just this year there was a whole thing where one of the actors who was in that Central Park musical. Apple TV had a musical about Central Park.
Yeah, it was the Bob's Burgers people did it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they had a musical about Central Park, and then one of the main girls was this black girl voiced by a white lady, and they were like, we're gonna ixnay on that, and I believe that Big Mouth.
Did you watch the most recent season of Big Mouth? It was pretty interesting because that character was that character's by Jenny Slate voiced her before. Mm-hmm. And that character's biracial, and it's weird because there's this arc at the beginning of season 4 where she's discovering her blackness. She goes and meets with her family.
Did they switch the actor or something?
They switched it to, I don't know how to pronounce her last name. Her first name's Ayo Edebire, something like that. So she voices her, but I figured the switch was going to come when she discovered her blackness, but it's still Jenny Slate through that whole arc. They don't switch the voice until the last 2 episodes, which to me is
really?
If you're going through the trouble of recasting it, just re-record those 50, 100 lines of dialogue for this character discovering her blackness.
Yeah, they do it on Family Guy. The voices they're white people doing black voices.
Cleveland, right?
Cleveland and Cleveland's wife. Cleveland's wife who goes, and the interesting thing about that is for me, what makes Cleveland isn't a black voice, but Cleveland's wife is intentionally trying to sound like a black woman.
Yeah.
Whereas Cleveland Quagmire, and his wife's like, Cleveland, I'm a fat black lady. and And it's the woman who does Lois and but she does a lot of problematic characters. She does Miss Wong. I mean, she's known.
That's Alex Borstein, and she was doing Miss Swan back in Mad TV days. Well, and it's I don't know. I think there was a point in time where I was thinking to myself, well, is it okay for people to voice characters not of their ethnicity if they're not doing a racially stereotypical, like if they're not like stereotyping the character, or if the character is someone who might have a different voice than what we generally associate. And then I realized, no, it's just pointless. The whole thing is pointless because there are enough talented people of color who are actors and voice actors out there that there's just no justification for not just having the right people play the right roles, And
I guess my take on it is, is it okay for people to voice characters of different ethnicities? I'm like, sure, you can do whatever you want, but you can't be mad when there's a public response to that. Like, you can't be shocked when everyone's like, wow, that seems unsavory. And then you're like, I can do what I want. Like, yeah, you can. And so can we. We can also respond how we want. So what's good?
So they get to the robot planet.
I will say, I love Futurama, and I think it's just this ongoing, it's something we're facing right now, is a lot of things that we've loved for a long time. Now that we're kind of being educated in better ways, and we're having conversations we didn't used to have, you go back and you watch things that you used to love, and then you realized, oh, it's not that these things weren't always racist. It's not like it's racist now compared to back then. It's just that we were conditioned to not worry about those things, and we were conditioned to not think too hard about it. So now that we are thinking about it, now that we are having the conversations that we're having, you go back and you watch certain things you love, and you're like, oh, this is horrible. I can't believe the wool was pulled over my eyes for so long.
Very much that.
And Futurama is one of those things where it's really so much of it is good that it's like, can we separate the good things from the bad things and still enjoy this? And I feel like, the jury's still out on that. I feel like the good that the show does is worth still watching it.
Let me ask this one. Bob, you're from New York City. How do you
Allegedly. No, I'm kidding.
How do you feel about all of these non-New York people doing a fake New York accent over here?
Okay, so
that's all over the show.
I've lived in New York City for 12 years. I'm not from New York. I'm actually from Georgia. I'm from the South. So I'm a real life Southerner who is strong, kind of like Lady Bunny, a Southerner who is strongly associated with New York City, despite, being from the South. But I mean, I find New York City accents really funny. And I think when people, and same with Southern accents, I like, even people who aren't from the South, when people do Southern accents, it really tickles me, even when they're bad.
I love a bad accent. I love a bad accent. Just commit.
You don't have to watch the whole series, Bob, but I do recommend, being that you're from Atlanta, that you watch The Lost City of Atlanta.
The Lost City of Atlanta.
That's a great episode.
It's a bunch of old country people in white linen suits and their mermaids.
Atlanta is much more than just a Delta hub. We also have the Coca-Cola factory.
We do. Luckily I've already seen episode 5 of each season, so I just gotta skip over that part.
So we travel to the robot planet. Bender seems to be abducted.
The Robot Planet?
No, it's called what was it called? Sindek 5 or
it's got a number. They only go back there one time in the whole series, and it's in season 8. They go back there once, and it's the same robot who they meet in the street who sees Fry peeing. That's the only robot they see the second time they go there.
We've talked about it. Well, what I love about Futurama with the robots is it's really up in the air whether robots we have all these examples of Bender saying things like, robots don't have emotions, and that makes me really sad. The robots are pretty amorphous. Sometimes they're what we expect from robots, and sometimes they're just humans made out of metal.
The robots on this planet are crawling with them. They're terrified. There's a lot of fear tactics, a lot of fake news being spread around,
a lot of scapegoating
to these robots, and they're just terrified of the idea of humans coming in and like ruining their way of life, and sucking their coolant out through their necks.
I just love the test they administer when Fry and Leela are in.
Oh, these robot guards are so funny.
They're in robot face, and they're trying to get into the robot planet, and they say, "You must pass this test."
Which of the following would you most prefer? A puppy. B, a flower. Fuck, I fucked it up. B, a pretty flower from your sweetie. Or C, a large properly formatted data file.
Is the puppy mechanical in any way?
No, it is the bad kind of puppy.
That data file thing.
Yes, we also would have accepted the pretty flower from your sweetie.
Which I really enjoyed that line very much.
That's a good one. That's good Futurama right there. Oh, and the construction robots are... There's a bunch of construction worker robots who they stop to ask direction from, and they're just doing a big Tetris game.
You know what's...
And he's like, don't drop that one there. Oh, come on.
You know what really bothered me about this, though, was this idea that, like, I may be overthinking this. The planet...
No, that's what we do here.
The planet was kind of relegated to this one city on the planet. So my question was, do all the robots live in this city? Because it was kind of like they landed and they were just kind of like in the outskirts and it was fine on the street. But then there was just this one town. There seemed to only be one town on the whole planet.
Well, on the human hunt, they kind of go out into the wastelands, right? Around the city.
It's kind of like when you go to New Jersey outside of New York.
I think it's a mixture of, like, the robots are so efficient, they don't need much space. We learned in the show that all robots, their apartments are basically just a closet because a robot doesn't need anything more than a closet. But then I also think it's just, with animation, the logic only exists to tell the story. So if all they need is one town, that's all they're going to draw.
That's true.
They have an incident where they're almost discovered in the street because Leela sneezes, which is a human thing.
And then she kicks the robot in the face.
She does. She does a lot of kicking with her big old boots. How do you feel about, as a feminine, powerful woman, Bob, how do you feel about Leela as a character?
Well, she's great. She's strong. I got a Laura Croft vibe going to her. I mean, she really got her eye on the prize. She's like she's a very exciting character. I was weirded out by the kick though, because it seemed like she hurt that robot, but we know you can't hurt robots.
You can hurt robots.
I think she just knocked him down. Like... He's going to take a while to get back up. There is a thing where Bender, we find out later that if he falls on his back, he can't get up like a turtle. So maybe this Bender, or this non-Bender robot has the same issue.
Maybe.
I just love, they're crossing so many genres here with this episode, but it's one of my favorite tropes to parody is when Leela sneezes and the robot just points at her and goes... Like, that's my
after his like sweet little nerd voice for like the past 2 minutes.
I just love
and the
that.
little armed guards who come to help him say like, get the humanoid, which is like from an old game. I think it's from Smash TV. I think it's from. I'll look it up.
Sure, yeah, whatever.
Bob, do you play video games?
Yes, I do play video games.
You got the new PlayStation?
I think it's from the game Berserk. Do I have
Berserk?
Thank you. We do have the new PlayStation.
Oh, God damn it! I'm so jealous.
Do you say we because you have a roommate, or are you just being royal?
Because I have a partner. We each have one. We have one for each room. One for the living room and one for the...
I can't even get one PS5.
I'm kidding. There's only one. I'm kidding.
How did you get it anyway? Did you have to go through the PS5 website? Did you have to pre-order it?
Well, the Target downtown in LA has really thin windows. You just knock it out. No. Jacob spent a lot of time scouring the internet, and then he found one on eBay for $700. So just $200 more than it should be.
Jeez,
But hey,
Louise.
you're worth it.
Well,
work hard.
it's his PlayStation, and I'm about this life. This is my life right here.
Oh, you got like a fancy Switch thing.
Now, for those of you who are listening, because there's no video for this, I'm holding up a Switch, and it really is just the best gaming console because, like, you don't have to stop playing. Like when you leave the house, like you can play this anywhere, and it just picks up. Think about the
What do you play on your
only
Switch?
I play mostly Fortnite and Smash Brothers. I'm waiting for Breath of the Wild 2 to come out.
Cool.
Yeah.
But you got to get into Fortnite, Nick.
Girl, I played Fortnite when they first put it for free on there, and I just can't do shooters anymore. I like a nice, relaxing game where everyone's friends.
Oh, I know.
I love Animal Crossing. Everyone's so nice to me on there.
My boyfriend loves Animal Crossing. I like games that are aggressive, and I love competition.
Bob was
we didn't know that about you.
Bob was telling me recently that she's obsessed with Fortnite. I mean, I'm a big Overwatch player, which is, similar idea of,
But she gets, so I lived with Jinkx for 2 years, and when she wins an Overwatch match, here's how it goes. Yeah. When she loses an Overwatch match, it's, oh my God! No! And I'm just
That's
like,
only a
Mom,
slight
turn it off. It's not
exaggeration.
making you feel good. You're not enjoying yourself.
I've often said that the most heteronormative thing I do is play Overwatch because I won't wear the microphone and the headpiece because I'm afraid of people seeing that side of me. And my partner who's with me right now,
you have to get into Fortnite, Jinkx. You would love it. You and I should stream.
I played
Fortnite
it before.
Together.
My first time playing it, I think I was in the top 10 survivors, and then I at one point I was the final survivor.
I won the
but
100
I just really lucked
thing once,
out.
and then I was like, I'm good. I won the 1 versus 100 people, and I was like, I'm good. I don't need to play this anymore.
Oh my God. And do y'all play Smash?
I'm okay at Smash. I do some Zero Suit Samus, and I'm okay.
I have always been good at Smash Brothers until the latest iteration of Smash Brothers, and now I feel like the oldest person in the world because it just goes too fast for me. Like, I can't keep track of who's throwing Pokeballs at who, and and half the maps are designed to like trick you.
They're moving, and then things are grabbing you. I'm very good at Smash.
Who do you main as?
Who's your main?
On Smash?
Who's your main?
Well, I've been switching up. I used to be I started off as a Captain Falcon main, and then I became a Little Mac, and then I was a Ganondorf, and now I'm Villager. There's something really
Villager's
cute about winning as Villager. Villager's like like scooping stuff. It's just so funny to like beat someone.
That tree is really strong. If you can make that tree fall on someone, it'll fuck them up.
Oh yeah.
I main as Peach, and occasionally I play as Kirby.
So they got to so Leela gets captured. So Leela's captured by the robots.
Yeah, well, first they go to the 50s B movie, which we have to talk about because it's maybe the highlight. And it's like a 50s style B movie. Jinkx, could you describe it? Because my upstairs neighbor is vacuuming.
Well, it's like a 1950s B movie, and there's an unspeakable monster, and the monster is a human, and in this, humans are like part werewolf, part vampire. All robots are terrified of them. It's just kind of what I love is the Futurama logic here is how long have these robots lived on this planet that they have forgotten all truth about humans, you know?
And they've apparently had a 50s that they're nostalgic for because they're in like a makeout point
that
with
could
a
just be
Letterman
in their
sweater.
Programming. Who
That's
knows?
true.
But
I do enjoy the part where the human reveals its organs.
His mighty system of organs, and it's got like little Christmas lights around it. He opens up his chest. It's very good.
And eventually we learn that there's a council of robot elders who use the fear tactics of the human, like most propaganda and most fear tactics. It's just to control the thoughts of the people that you're governing. You
They're the
create
robot Illuminati.
Yeah, you create a common enemy so that you can unite people against that enemy so that they spend all their time thinking about the enemy and not any time questioning the powers that be.
The robot
Not to get
elders,
too Marxist for you or something.
The robot elders have this running gag where they say silence at each other. And do you think RuPaul stole it from this episode of Futurama? Because no one's talking and they say silence, and that's her whole thing.
I did enjoy that gag a lot. I wish they did more Illuminati imagery with the robot elders, because it was very Illuminati, secret society. You know.
I think this was long enough ago that I never knew about the Illuminati until like Lady Gaga rose to astronomical heights, and then I learned about the Illuminati through people hypothesizing that Lady Gaga was the prophet of the Illuminati or the Messiah.
What are we doing here? Are we doing Illuminati?
I'm just saying. I'm saying they probably would have went further with the Illuminati imagery if it was made today, but back then it wasn't as the word Illuminati wasn't as like commonly known, I think.
It is the same deal though, because it's like a shadow organization that's secretly running things, because they go through this whole kangaroo court with the like old Mac OS like judge that freezes halfway through.
What I thought was weird was like there's a lot of talk everywhere about humans being killed on sight. They're murdered, they're killed, and there's even a sign that says, "Got milk? Then you're a human and you must be killed." but then the elders were like, "Well, we don't want people to know that we're killing you." And I'm like, I think everyone knows. Like, I think.
Oh yeah, that doesn't make sense.
I think everyone knows that you guys kill humans here.
Well, then,
but the thing is, they haven't seen any humans, because that's what they say on the human hunt.
They do their human hunt, and it's like, that makes 100,000 human hunts, and we still haven't found a human yet, but maybe tomorrow,
But you're right, Bob. It doesn't track that the public punishment would be them being like treated like robots are on Earth, but then they would get killed in secret. That doesn't make sense.
Maybe it's that they have to simultaneously maintain the fear of humans, but also convince the robots that live there that they're strong enough to keep humans out, that no human could even ever get there. I don't know. It's an animated show. They're doing a lot of references to a lot of things all at once. There's racial tensions. There's dystopian futures. There's a lot of satire. We don't have to track the logic so hard that everything should make sense.
I'm tracking it. It's too late. I'm tracking this logic.
Watch us send Bob on a conspiracy theorist track now. She's going to be watching every episode of Futurama and counting how many times Fry blinks, because it's like a signal to.
It is. He blinks in Morse code, and you'll see he blinks out SOS.
Bob, do you think if you could assimilate with the robots, like if you wore your roller skate outfit from season 8,
got it.
Do you think you could happily live in this robot city? Would you be able to make yourself happy there?
No, it doesn't seem. I don't feel like I would be able to bond with a lot of these robots in the way that I would be bonding. I'd have to be faking it. I'd have to be assimilating, not being my real self. And I don't know. Are the robots? Well, the robots are interested in romance, which is nice, because I was afraid there might be no romance with these robots. Seem interested in romance.
Oh yeah, because he was like, "Oh, you're having a quiet evening together, huh?"
And then there was a date in the movie.
Yeah. And you can accept a flower from your sweetie.
Yeah, exactly.
As it always happens.
They seem to love. It's actually, it comes up a lot in this short period of time.
Right?
As it always happens, Bender, who presents as being staunchly anti-human and wanting to kill all humans, when push comes to shove, he actually has a soft spot in his robotic heart for the humans that he works with, and I think humans in general, because I think part of it is that Bender has gotten emotionally attached to the humans that he works with, and then the other part of it is that, robots wouldn't have anyone to, lord over or be better than if there weren't, squishy, fleshy humans. So like,
Yeah.
I think Bender needs humans for the fact that he needs someone to feel superior to.
Yeah, he is definitely the B. Arthur of this Golden Girls group.
Funny you should
let's do
mention B.
everyone.
Arthur because she plays a robot later in the series.
Oh, does she
Spoilers.
really? Word.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she plays the femputer, which is actually just a
It's like a Wizard of Oz thing where she's like
Yeah.
hiding behind
it's
a big curtain.
it's a fembot posing as a femputer, and
Word.
she has one of the best lines in the whole series where she goes, "I come from a planet that was ruled by a man-bot posing as a man-puter. Do you have any idea what it's like being a fembot living in a man-bot's man-puter's world?" And Bender just goes, "What?"
That's really good.
We did skip over the robot porno.
Ah, yes, moldy
Because
old
when they're out on
robot
the-
porno.
When they're out on the human hunt and they resolve that they're not going to find any humans today. But before they go back to the big central city, Bender spots like an old rundown place and they're like, oh, it's an old robot porno theater. And he goes and he's looking at the robot porno and it's like all schematics of like the inside of someone's circuitry.
Which I wonder if those were any actual things there. If they were just,
Oh yeah, there's probably like some engineer in the Futurama writers room.
It
who,
reminds
like,
me
disappointed
kind of.
their parents by writing for a children's cartoon.
It reminds me kind of like yaoi porn, because it's like in yaoi porn, it's not just about the two bodies having sex. They also like show you like an inside perspective of like the organs and the penis entering the organs and like.
How much yaoi you reading, Mom?
what is yaoi? What is yaoi?
Okay, so you know what manga is? It's like a Japanese comic book. Yaoi is two boys romancing each other, almost always very soft boys.
Yeah.
And it's very
Gotcha.
sexual. And then Yuri is the lesbian equivalent.
And
And
then
are they?
sometimes
Is it animated?
Yeah, it's drawn.
there's animation and there's also graphic novels, but all I'm saying is sometimes they're like depicting gay sex from the prostate's point of view.
Word.
I did one time see a video that was like they got a camera inside a guy's butt somehow, and they showed like the dick like coming at the camera.
That's upsetting.
And you like watch it come in his butt, and it was like more scientific than anything else.
I mean, getting a camera in the butt is easy. Getting a camera out of the butt. I mean, realistically speaking, Nick, I don't want to ruin your evening, but it was more than likely probably not really in anyone's butt. It was probably just like a fake anus that they stuck. It's basically like a fleshlight. They just stuck it in from one side, and then
Well, I was like, I could see how they could get it in there, but how would they turn it around and get the right lighting?
Okay,
Well, I don't think you turn
enough
it
about this
around.
experimental porn that Bob produced. She seems to have a lot of the inside scoop. What I want to
That
know
was actually
is,
the name of the porn, was the Inside Scoop.
inside scoop. Yeah.
what I want to know is, like porn, human porn is humans without their clothes on, and then robot porn is like schematics. Does that imply that the like metal casing that that forms the robot's body is their clothing, or does it imply that robot porn would be the equivalent of like humans looking at each other's organs and getting off on that? It's a
They do seem to like organs based on.
and then
what
we have
know
to
of them.
ask why some robots wear clothing and most robots don't.
Well,
So it's
some robots have like clothing built into their chassis. It's not like they're wearing cloth.
It's all over
Well-
the place.
Well, the
Tiny Tim now.
mayor had a sash on for sure, and then the
Oh.
construction guy was wearing a vest and a hard hat.
So
Well,
he
do
takes
you-
that off when he gets home. Why does he need a hard hat if his head's made of metal?
I don't
He
know.
put a plastic
And
hard hat on.
And do you think that that's just the lackey imitating the behavior of the oppressor? These robots escaped human oppression and create their own planet where they do everything the same way humans do.
Just
Bob,
to
have you
become
seen
their
Battlestar
oppressors.
Galactica? Have you
I've
seen
not.
Battlestar?
I've
Okay, so
not.
that's exactly what's going on with the Cylons right now. I'm rewatching Battlestar Galactica. You should, Bob, you gotta watch Battlestar Galactica. Do you have Peacock?
I don't have Peacock.
You want my password? Will you watch it?
I mean, I'll probably watch Saved by the Bell first. I'm not going to lie to you.
Oh, I do want to watch that too. But you should watch Battlestar Galactica because it's exactly what they do. Is the robots turn into humans and then just start doing all the things that humans did because they like don't have anything else to aspire to.
Yeah.
More.
So they all escape. It's a happy ending. Not only does Bender reveal that he actually loves the humans in his life, but the humans then also make more of a conscious effort to acknowledge the differences and Bender's rights to his own robot practices, like robotica.
Then we found out that he made the whole thing up, which makes it hard to root for him.
Yeah, but
but he was trying to take money away from his boss. You know, I'm not gonna penalize him too much for like subverting capitalism. That seems good.
Also, though, there are no characters in this show that don't have some really horrible qualities, you know?
Well, maybe he's subverting capitalism, but he's also like, it's not like his boss is Walmart. It's a small family-owned business. It's not
you
like
don't know the professor that well yet. I think if you knew him a little better.
Okay.
He's always sending them to their death. He's like he's got a bunch of doomsday devices. He's very
and all
well-to-do.
the employees find ways to slack off, okay? I mean, even Leela, who's supposed to be the model employee, oftentimes will just blow off work if there's something else she wants to do.
Oh, yeah, like she shot that popcorn into the sun that one time. Can't remember why.
I can't remember either. I think it's because she wanted to go off and find that Cyclops planet.
Yeah, it's the Cyclops planet. Yeah.
I do enjoy the fact that Bender's body is just kind of whatever he wants it to be. Like, it makes popcorn. It's like a popcorn machine. It does like a lot of different stuff in different episodes.
Yeah, I like that. This is why I really enjoy animated shows, is they are able to do so many things that would be harder to pull off with live action, like the inside of Bender's body just being whatever it needs to be in that moment. But then also I think with animated shows, we suspend our disbelief a lot more, and we'll just accept that today Bender's a popcorn machine and tomorrow he's going to be a percolator, and then the next day he's going to, I don't know,
have Lucy Lou's head in there.
Did they buy? Here's a question: do you buy Bender? Like, if someone's making Bender, I'm assuming they're manufacturing Bender to sell. And if they're selling him and he's autonomous and he has like a conscience and everything, is this slavery? Is Bender being paid at this job?
They do later in the show. They do end up buying a new robot, and so you can go pick up a robot for your place of business. Bender himself,
and they kind of explicitly bought that robot because Bender was kind of obsolete at that point.
Bender
which is
was
very
not
sad.
He wasn't bought though by he defected from his original programming to work at this place. So it's really ambiguous because there are some robots who do exactly what they were programmed to do. Then there's robots who seem to be going against their programming, but we're also led to believe that even the robots who go against their programming were programmed to do that. They were programmed to go against their programming. And then how do we explain a robot mafia if they don't have free will and if they don't have it's so yes, they are slaves and they are also free all at the same time, I think.
Oh my goodness.
Are they just like constrained by the same needs as us where it's like, okay, you're a robot now, go get a job, pay for your apartment?
Yeah. I mean, and there's robots that are vending machines. And some of the vending machines are content being and there's an episode where the robots revolt and they find out we as the audience find out that everything is robotic. The toaster's a robot. The TV also can sprout legs and run off when it needs to.
He basically said on this episode that even those things that we don't see as like human-like robots are still robots. Like when at the beginning during the blurb ball game. During the game, I have a little blurb ball thing behind me. During the blurb ball game, he was like, the whole thing is full of robots. And I was like, yeah, they are all robots.
Yeah, and then the little robot comes out to clean up the garbage, and he's like, "And look who's cleaning up. Is it a human child? I wish."
Yeah.
So wow, it's so funny. This was a very loaded episode with lots of things to discuss. There's a lot going on in this episode. As a way to wrap things up, we asked our last guest this, and now I think it's how I want to end every episode. It's kind of like fuck, marry, kill, but it's more like fuck, marry, be, fuck, marry,
Exist as.
Yeah. So I want to know who you would most sexually get down with, who would you want to have a relationship with, and who do you most relate to when it comes to Futurama characters?
Well, I mean, I probably would be most attracted to Fry, and I probably want to marry Leela, and I probably relate to Bender.
Oh, you're just the main three.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just take the main characters.
Well, I mean, I just think that I like Bender's dryness, the sense of humor, the B. Arthur of it all, the Dorothy Zbornak of it all. And Leela, I like her strength. I like her power. I'm really interested in her. I mean, I can't see myself wanting to marry the professor. He's a monster.
Yeah.
and also the lobster guy, the lobster
Zoidberg,
guy.
yes.
He just does such gross stuff. He just does like a lot of really nasty shit. So I don't want to be involved in that with any capacity. The Jamaican guy seems almost a little too plain. Like he's just like
kind of a family
neighbor.
Guy.
Yeah.
On our
Not
last
like the
episode,
cartoon, but like a guy who's got a family.
On our last episode, we discussed the duality of Hermes, the Jamaican guy, and also the kind of the contrasting expectations, because he is both a bureaucrat and a stoner, which seem to be mutually exclusive. Like, how is an anal retentive bureaucrat also the show's only stoner? But
Yeah.
that's a topic for another time. I would definitely fuck Fry too.
You say that every episode. You don't need to answer the question every episode.
I just bet he smells like how I like.
Oh my God. So, Jinkx, this is my question for you, because you know Bob a little better than I do, even though Bob and I are very good friends. Who would you, as someone who has seen every episode of Futurama, say that Bob is most like? Like, of the characters that she hasn't met.
I actually think Bob is the most like Bender. I really feel like, and Bob was commenting on Bender's dryness and B. Arthurness. I would say because of the brashness and because of the kind of like Bender is very self-assured. Bender knows what he wants in life and goes for it. But then there's also just kind of the obstinate kind of antagonizing nature of Bender.
What do you mean? What are you getting at here?
Bob loves to sometimes push people's buttons, especially the people she loves. Like, it's never done maliciously, but I find that Bob pushes people's buttons just to see how far she can push them, just kind of as a social experiment.
I gotta know where I stand,
When we were doing Hokum Pokum together, and those rehearsal schedules are really short, so this was like 5 days after I met Bob. It was either the day before the show or like the final dress that we do day of show. And we were getting mic'd up, and Bob came up to me and said, I look at your face and I just want to push you up against a locker and take your lunch money. And I was like, Bob, I'm trying to get ready for the show. We just met.
And let's not forget the obvious. If Bob just wore an antenna right now, she'd be halfway to a Bender cosplay.
Honestly, yeah.
She's got the same shaped head.
I think what I was did I say that to you, Nick? I think what I was trying to get
and
at
then
was
you also said, I want to call you Furcus. And I was like, why? And you said, because that's Trixie Mattel's name, and I think it's a stupid name.
Well, what it is Okay,
that she wants to fuck you, but didn't want to make you that uncomfortable, so decided just to say.
That is not what I said. So you have you have the appearance of someone who was bullied in high school.
I was.
And I want to continue that tradition.
But not because he was gay. Not because he was gay, because he was religious.
So the
I was
reason
not
why,
bullied because I was religious. I found community in religion, which was unfortunate.
so the reason why I think that Trixie's last name, I think Furcus is like the name of like a kid who gets bullied. And I was on tour with Trixie Mattel and Milk, and what I realized that Milk's name is Donegan. Dan Donegan, who sounds like a bully, and Brian Furcus sounds like he gets bullied. So I would always think that
this
in my
seems
mind
less
he'd
personally
be like,
insulting when I have all these details.
he'd be like, "My name's Dan Donegan, and I'm gonna beat you up, Furcus." Like that's what I see in my head.
Furcus. If you don't do my drag homework for me.
Go write my mini challenge.
But Nick, I really like you, and I think that's why I had you open for me in that time in
that was
Seattle.
very fun. Thank you for having me do that. That was
And
a
I
blast.
like you a lot. You're a great person. I hope
I like
that
you,
is
Bob.
clear.
I'll come sit on your lawn.
Like, this escalated quickly.
I'll come sit on your lawn with like a boombox, a boombox.
And
We'll listen to music together.
And I'll take your lunch money.
Now, Bob, knowing that, so we are now on episode 5, and we have yet to release any of these podcasts because we've got a lot of assets to get into place before we can start releasing these podcasts.
Yeah, do you know how to draw, Bob? Can you do art?
No, we're very close to having all the assets done. But I would like you, if you have anything to plug, feel free to plug it right now, just knowing that we have no idea when this episode will come out. So it should be things you want to plug just in general.
Probably first week of February. That's my rough guess.
Yeah.
Okay, first week of February. Well, you can always go on Hulu and watch my Christmas special with Ben de la Creme. No, I'm kidding. Which is really good, by the way. No, just go to bobthedragqueen.com and all my stuff is always listed there.
Wonderful. And you've got a thriving Patreon and your own podcast.
Yeah,
Listen to
check out
Sibling
Sibling
Rivalry.
Rivalry. Yeah, Sibling Rivalry podcast is really exciting. It's me and Monet going back and forth. We talk about a lot of stuff. We're reviewing Drag Race this year for the first time in the years of our podcast, so it'll be exciting.
And it's great because no one's ever done that before.
I do want to point out that me and Monet have the first Drag Race Girl podcast, so we were doing it before.
No, I know. I'm just teasing you.
I think we used to review Drag Race back in the day, but not fully. We do it like as half an episode, and we'd have each
I
eliminated
saw some
girl.
of those.
And then they started then Race Chaser started doing it, so we started talking about other stuff.
So you're saying that Race Chaser culturally appropriated you and Monet?
Yeah. Yeah.
Bob, congratulations on every success you've had. I always say, you're one of the drag queens that shows the world that drag queens are. We may choose to do our art forms in drag, but that doesn't make us any less the artists that we are. You're an actor
God, just suck
who's
each other's
also.
dicks. Shut up.
I believe this though. Bob the drag queen is an actor and a comedian who does it in drag.
I will say, Bob, you are of all the Rue girls, you are the best stand-up. You are the one who could get up there and do stand-up without the wig. You absolutely could.
Well, thank you.
But please don't get up there without a wig. We just got her wearing wigs. Let's not make her take a step back. And also check out Bob's YouTube channel because you can see fun things like her doing the song from Animaniacs where she lists every the nations of the world while dressed as a clown because she doubled up that day. She was already doing her Party City makeup tutorial and thought, why not also list every country in song?
Listen, well, I did it and my boyfriend was like, you kind of look like Yakko. And I was like, you know what? Let's get it poppin'. Let's do it.
Thank you so much for being a guest today, Bob. We love you
My
so
pleasure.
much.
My pleasure.
And hopefully now you're addicted to Futurama, and you'll be texting us all the time with your new conspiracy theories about the Illuminati and its relation to Futurama.
I think honestly, you guys should have me back for every episode 5.
Perfect.
That's not a terrible idea. We'll see how this shakes out. We're still getting our legs, but yeah, why not? You know what? We're the producers. Fuck it. Yeah, we'll do that.
I'm the producer, and you're the.
Okay, I'm a co-producer.
We're
Jesus.
co-hosts, and I'm the producer.
Oh God, this is.
I would say that I
dicey.
still produce. I may not
What?
do the
Because
editing.
you hit record on the Zoom.
No,
You hit the
excuse
record
me.
button.
Okay, because I'm giving us the platform with which to do it and get us half of our.
You're
I've
the
got
star. That's the dictionary
Drag
definition of the
her.
star.
Drag
You
her.
can't just take credits from me. This is all I've got. So anyway,
Don't I
thank you so
know
much.
it.
We'll see you next week.
Thank you, Bob. And thank you all for listening to I'm 40% Podcast. We will be back next week with another episode. I can't tell you who the guest is yet because we haven't nailed that down yet. That's how we keep it fresh here at I'm 40% Podcast. So subscribe to the Jinkx Monsoon Patreon to get early access to this podcast and so many other things. And be sure to follow us all on our social medias. That's Nick Sahoyah, Jinkx Monsoon, and Bob the Drag Queen. Have a great rest of your day.
Bye, everyone.